Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
It's only sport, Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, iOS. That's the name of the weekday show we put together on the platform, and this is some of the highlights from today's show in podcast form. All Blacks versus Wallabies, of course. We've got to look at both lineups. The Wallabies are brand new at 9 and 10. The All Blacks, that 15, is looking likely like the first 15. It'll probably run out in the first knockout match at the World Cup. We've got Football Women's World Cup to talk about. We've got Messi to talk about. Messi mania just overtaking the United States leading sports centre. So much to talk about. Let's waste no time and do it then. As always, we begin the program, tablets in hand. I say, gather my flock. The All Blacks team to play Australia has been announced. Let us go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
The All Blacks play Australia Saturday night have been named. Is this what we now all assume to be our best team right now? The run on 15, the 23 has got to be as close, you'd think, to the World Cup quarterfinal lineup as we can get. It's got to be. Why? Because we've only got 3 games starting Saturday left before the World Cup. There's no time to experiment. We don't have to worry about protecting players from injury or whatever. What is more important is combinations and winning. Getting the players fully familiar with each other so instinct and awareness comes naturally. The run-on side has one change to that which started versus South Africa. Sam Cane, captain, out injured. Artie becomes the captain. Dalton Papali'i takes his spot. It's the bench where the changes have been made. 5 of the 8 replaced. Sam Whitelock back fit. So he was always going to be involved. I thought he'd start. He starts off the bench. With Kane injured, Jacobson, next man up after Papali'i, so he slots in there. Roygaard is going to get given another run. You'd think he comes on after 60 minutes or so, replacing Aaron Smith. The selectors know what Christie can do, so I suppose Roygaard has got to get some game time in a black jersey when it matters before France. The replacing of Tamaiti Williams with Offa, I can't understand. The persistence with Nepo and Offa is... Look, I just think it's a disaster waiting to happen. I hate to say it, but I've watched these guys at World Cups and in the 4 years post-Tokyo and just left me cold. Tupuvai is clearly well down the pecking order when it comes to our locks and is only going to be needed, it's obviously clear, only if absolutely needed. Anton Leonard-Brown takes Enor's place on the bench. Again, the guy needs game time. I get that. But, yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the nuts, isn't it, for Enor, who really, I don't think has had that much of a chance against both RG and South Africa to actually show what he can do and given the opportunity to come off the bench, but has he really had enough game time? The bench, in fact, to me, just doesn't look, I don't know, impactful. A bomb squad a la South Africa and the Springboks, it is not. The run on 15 were absolutely superb early in both tests we played this year and expect more of the same. Lightning fast, gut busting. That is the approach that we're going to take against the Wallabies on Saturday night. That is how we're going to play. We're going to be fast, accurate, and aim to hurt them early on the scoreboard. So I'm happy with the team. I know guys have to be given a run, but I still would have preferred to have seen the full A team, the All Black team, in the full 23.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
A lot of sports news to squeeze in.
Yeah, I'll start off with the All Blacks team that has been named. It was named, an hour and 15 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. About there. 11:45. Oh, hour and a half ago. 11:45. Excuse me.
He's breathing COVID all over us, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm still,
Why we had protective glass between the two
every
of us.
symptom is gone apart from the cough. That reminds me, I need to take my cough medicine. This is the All Blacks team that's been named to take on the Wallabies in the first Bledisloe Cup test. That is on Saturday night at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. The mecca of rugby venues, the Melbourne Cricket Ground. I tell you, you can sit anywhere in that stadium and you're so close to the field. You may as well just reach out and touch the referee's head.
Bollocks at the cricket ground, not when a rugby pitch is...
I'm kidding.
Oh, sorry.
Obviously, I'm joking.
Okay, well, I'm pretending I'm on social media, so you just overreacted what everyone says.
When you go to the Cape Town for a Hurricanes match, are you close to the field? No, because it's a circle.
Oval.
Wow.
Quite a big difference.
Oval, yeah, whatever. Well, in the MCG's case, it's a great ground. It's a circle. But not for rugby. Anyway, this is the All Blacks team. Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, Tyrell Lomax, Brodie Retallick, Scott Barrett, Shannon Frizzell, Dalton Papali'i, Ardie Savia. That's the forward pack. The same as the South African match, except for one man, that being Sam Cane. who's out with a neck strain, so Dalton Papali'i starts. Though we kind of could have seen this coming because Sam Cane came off at half-time of that win over the Springboks. The backs are Aaron Smith, Richie Mo'unga, Mark Talea, Geordie Barrett, Rieko Ioane, Will Jordan, Bowden Barrett. So it's actually, apart from Sam Cane, an unchanged 15. The bench, though, looks a little bit different. Samasoni Tokiaho, Ofatunga Fasi, Nepola Lala, who he's the best con man in the world because he keeps getting selected for the All Blacks. Nepola Lala, get out of there, son.
Oh, no, but they keep selecting him. He's not going to say no, is he?
No, exactly.
I just don't know what he brings.
He's conning them into it.
I don't know what he brings.
He's brought nothing for 4 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, if somebody else has got an answer for us, and we can't provide one for you, let us know, 5050.
Sam Whitelock, Luke Jacobson, Cam Roygaard, Anton Leonard-Brown, Caleb Clark. The Wallabies team was named about 5 minutes before the All Blacks team was.
You would have been sending a couple of love messages to Luke Jacobson by now, wouldn't you? I mean,
I've sent him a few, yeah.
He's turned his phone off and said, Lachlan, please, I've got to concentrate on the
selfies
game.
with a thumbs up. Nice one, Luke. Wearing my game-worn Waikato jersey.
Yeah. A couple of shower shots, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get him along to a function, not this weekend, but next weekend in Dunedin, because I'm doing sort of a thing at a pub down in Dunedin for the Luke Jacobson fan club. There's only 4 members, and I created it about 3 years ago, so it's been really hard to try and get as many members as possible. He hasn't got him back. This is the Wallabies team. Angus Bell, David Porecki, Alan Alator, Nick Frost, Will Skelton, Jed Holloway, Tom Hooper, Rob Valentini. You could not be blamed for not knowing a single name in that 4-pack. It's a few familiar ones, but no Michael Hooper. He's got an injury. I can't remember what it is, but he's got a knock, so he's not playing. But there is a Hooper at open side. Tate McDermott, Carter Gordon. That's the big change. He's starting at first 5. Marika Karoon Betty, Samu Karevi, Jordan Pataya, Mark. Okay, this is a hard name to pronounce. Mark Nawa Kanatawazi. Actually, I think I got it right.
That's not bad.
He's on the right wing. Andrew Kelway at fullback. The bench, Jordan Ulysses, James Lipataniela Tupo. Nick White's on there as well. Rob Leota, Quay Cooper, Isaiah Parisi, Richie Arnold. Those are the players on the bench. All right, All Blacks great. Justin Marshall will be commentating the Rugby World Cup. After all, he wasn't being taken over by Sky, but he's linking up with Supersport, the South African sports coverage group team. They'll be having Justin Marshall as part of their coverage in France. Lydia Ko will have one shot at getting the complete set of Olympic medals, revealing that the Paris Olympics next year will likely be her last. She was speaking to Olympics.com recently, saying Paris is one of her biggest goals in the next couple of years, probably going to be my last Olympics. All right, starting today, men's and women's players will cover the NRL logo on their jerseys as the strike between the Rugby League Players Association and the governing body continues. Talks between the NRL and RLPA stalled. Players are boycotting media commitments before and after games until a resolution is reached.
That'll learn them. Okay, I tell you what, you cover up that NRL logo, that's going to learn them, mate, because
that'll end well, won't it?
You're still playing an NRL round of matches this weekend. Okay.
So, are you playing in the NRL? Or are you playing in the?
You're just playing for.
Just playing rugby league for a bit of fun. So if you
This is a comedy show now, a really bad comedy show, isn't it?
Jordan Henderson, the Liverpool captain, has confirmed he is leaving the club after 12 years.
The Dutchies have scored, mate! What a cracker!
Don't ruin my... That's my next... I'm going to the Women's World Cup after this.
Well, it just happened.
Well, let me get to the story.
Well, you aren't even watching it in there, mate.
No, I'm not actually. But I've got the Slife scoreboard up and it still says 0-0.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's 1-0. Cracking goal.
The FIFA Women's World Cup, now it says 1-0. A couple of games yesterday, Japan beating Costa Rica 2-0, Spain thumping Zambia 5-0. That was at Eden Park, I'm pretty sure. Overnight, Canada beating the Republic of Ireland 2-1. Today's first game between the United States and the Netherlands, that's a big matchup, down there in Wellington, 1-0 to the Dutch.
Yes, that is superb. Absolutely superb.
7:30 today, Portugal take on Vietnam, Australia at 10 o'clock facing Nigeria. That's what's making news.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Rugby Bledisloe Cup test Saturday night. Us against them. We've held the Bledisloe Cup since when? Since 2002. Wallaby legend. 101 games for his country and World Cup winner David Campese joins the show. Okay, so Carter Gordon, the Melbourne Rebel player, he's 22. Yep. He's named on debut, and he's with Tate McDermott. There's your 9 and 10 at the bottom of the scrum. So you've got Nick White, obviously, on the bench, and Quade Cooper. Quade Cooper hasn't been effective in the last 2 games. What, is it worth giving Gordon a chance? I mean, he might be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's a very good player. And the reason is that obviously no one's got hold of him yet. They've just said, mate, go out and play. Tate McDermott's the best number 9 in Australia. And the reason why I don't think Eddie likes or coaches already, because you can't kick the ball away. I don't want to kick the ball away. You know, you can't win a game of rugby if you haven't got the bloody ball. And if you have a look at the last couple of games, every time we've had a turnover ball, Nick White gets it and kicks it away. So hopefully with Tate McDermott there, again, it's the combination factor. The more those two play together, you know they're going to get better. But therefore, you need a number 8 that is also is a good ball player for me, because if you've got a good number 8, the opposition are going to worry about number 8, 9 and 10. If you haven't got an 8, the opposition don't care about who the 8 is, because they know that he's limited in what he can do. That's how I look at the game. The more dangerous players you've got, the harder it is to defend. And I just hope Tate, gets an opportunity, but he needs the guys around him to help him as well.
Cambo, here in New Zealand, you know how obsessed we are, mate, and that the All Blacks have to win every single game. And I like that attitude. I think Ian Foster's got it right. Look at this particular game, isolate it, and win this game, and the World Cup takes care of itself. Are you allowed to have a different attitude to that? Because for Eddie, it all seems, if you make the knockout stage, you get to a quarter-final, you're on the right side of the draw. If he wins that game, he gets to a semi-final, and he's confirmed in that job. Is it that important, or should it be more important to be attacking games like this Bledisloe Cup game and actually believe you can win these games?
Yeah, look, I think when you get an opportunity to play for your country, you try and win every game you can. I played the All Blacks 29 times, and the only time I knew we'd beat New Zealand was in the World Cup 91, because we played them in Sydney, we won. We played them in Auckland 2 weeks later, and after that game, I just sensed that they weren't the same All Black team that, I played against before. And look, this game's it's a big game. It's, got a couple of young guys. The World Cup, Eddie's coming with great expectations. People aren't sure what's going to happen. He's put himself out there. And I just think the players, we haven't got that history or culture like you have. No one knows who we are. I've been cancelled by Rugby Australia. I can't do a thing. Nobody knows who we are. So when you go to a game, the young kids are going, oh, who's playing out there? I don't know him. Who's he? In New Zealand, everybody knows who the All Blacks are. That's our problem. When you've got 4 football codes in Australia, it's not easy to get airtime, especially if not on free-to-air TV.
Yeah, right.
And that's been one of our biggest problems for years and years. And, unless you win, keep on consistently, you win, but you've got to entertain. And that's the factor. People forget. Sport's about entertaining. If you don't entertain, people won't come and watch.
How important is it? I asked Tim Horan this question yesterday as well. How important is it that that you play with your own style? Because you've always had this, and that is what has been the biggest fear factor that we faced, is that, you don't do what South Africa does. You use the ball a lot more, that you're much better in broken play. How important is that?
Yeah, well, I think that's why I think we won. That's why we won the Grand Slam in 84. We played a style of rugby. Then we won the Bledisloe in 86. Then we won the World Cup. We won by playing a style of rugby which was unique to Australia, which was attack. You run the ball from anywhere, but you had the confidence and you had the skills. If you haven't got the skills, you are limited to what you can do. And if you look at Australian rugby, we're still playing this bloody pod system, which New Zealand invented years ago. You guys have moved on, and we're still playing it. And we're so structured, players are more worried about running into position than playing. My son is 16, he plays at a school. Oh, my goodness, the pod system. He's a number 10. He's standing behind the forwards. There's no playmaker. And I said, what are you doing this? Oh, that's what I was told to do. And that's all these coaches know. And 99.9% of coaches around the world are all bloody hookers and props. There's no backs coaching. So therefore, in Australia, we haven't got that flair. Nobody's game to try. The kids have been told not to do certain things. Again, if you haven't got the skills, you cannot play a style of rugby that someone else wants to play. And Michael Cheika found out in 2019. He wanted to play a certain style of rugby, but he knew the players weren't skilled enough to play that style. And we haven't played that for donkeys because the coaches, like myself, are not allowed to pass on our knowledge. And it's not about risk-taking. It's about confidence, given the skills, playing under pressure and backing yourself. That's how we used to play.
Have a look at the All Blacks side, mate, and we picked the run on 15 that started against South Africa, even though not Sam Cane, he's got a neck injury, so Dalton Papali'i comes on, a few changes to the bench. But what does this tell you about the All Blacks? Is this like Ian Foster saying, right, he's doing what you said right at the beginning of this chat. I want to see my first 15 out there. I want the combinations to be absolutely instinctual. I want them to be able to play like they know who the guy is outside them. We have been crying out for this over this side.
Yeah, I think because you've got so many players like, you had Mackenzie play against Argentina. He hadn't played All Black rugby for, I think he was come back from Japan. He went back to club rugby and all that, which was great. I mean, the confidence, he's a great player. I mean, you guys are so fortunate that you've got so many creative players at 10. And now you've got Barrett. I mean, you move Barrett, who's the best number 10 in the world, but now you want to put him the fullback because you want to put all the good players in the team at once. Pick players in positions which they're known to play. Then you've got the best combination. You guys are fortunate. You've got so many opportunities, and Foster realises, mate, if you pick the same team week in, week out, and you haven't got injuries, and they perform, they're going to get better. And that's, I suppose, the scary thing for us in Melbourne this week. Are they going to up the ante, or do you think they're going to make it? I don't think the All Blacks ever take the Wallabies easy, but if you start winning pretty easy, then you start trying things that are a bit difficult, and that's when you fall apart. You just got to play the style of rugby you want to play. But for the Wallabies, we just got to have a bit of passion and commitment. And just, when you see something, just, mate, go for it. Have a go, for God's sake, And as I said, like Foster's, he's on a no-win situation. He's gone after the World Cup anyway. But he can as I said, win in every game from here on in. They've got 2 more games to throw, then the World Cup starts.
Yep.
So, the more combinations, the fitter the players are. I just think that you've got so many good players in positions, but if someone gets injured, the next guy comes on, is he going to be just as good, or is he lacking game time? That's what the coach has got to try and arrange.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. I am the Minister of Common Sense, which pretty much means I can do what I like most ministers in Parliament.
We need to talk.
Not really.
We
don't.
need
to
talk.
No, we actually don't, because I am the minister. And with the woke liberal media that, runs.
You tell that, Mirror.
Well, I'll just sit there and I'll just do what I like, and they'll just make excuses for me and say that, it's okay.
Next!
What we're playing here is called What is More Chance of Happening, Lachlan? I'm going to present a scenario to you, and you're going to tell me what is more chance of happening. What is more chance of happening? The Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne Saturday night, or the Roosters beat the Broncos tonight?
You're really tugging.
Good one to start with. Good one to start.
You've just pulled my heart out. You've hung it up from the ceiling, and you're having a little boxing match with it, aren't you? Truthfully, I think there's more chance the Roosters beat the Broncos tonight.
Is there a chance?
I think the Broncos will win, but I think the Roosters are a dangerous
You
side.
got worried all over your face. Why? You're the Broncos. You're the big tough
because
Broncos.
I can't get last year out of my head, okay? With all my teams, I only see the negatives. I see every reason why the losses.
He's been dragged down into my pit of quicksand. This is how you support your teams. You hate and hate and hate.
I think about the 2015 grand final more than anything else in the world. I don't care that the Eagles won a Super Bowl. I worry that the fact we lost one this year. I don't care that the Lakers won the title in 2020. Liverpool won the Premier League and the Champions League in back-to-back years as well. I just think about all the bad times for all my teams.
That's how a sports fan.
And you know what? The Roosters are a good side.
That's how we live our life.
Just need, a few things just need to click, and they'll put 50 on us.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne, or the Argies beat the Box Sunday morning at Emirates Airline Stadium? Do you even know where that is?
No. Is it in South Africa?
See? So it's actually Ellis Park. If I said Ellis Park in Joburg, you know exactly where it is, right?
Yeah, Argentina aren't winning that. No, I give the Wallabies more of a chance.
This is how dumb it is when you rebrand stadiums. No one cares. No one remembers. What we do is we actually just get really confused and think, where the hell's that Emirates Airline Stadium? What
to be fair,
what are you talking about?
When Westpac Stadium changed to Sky Stadium, people threw their arms up. As well as that, during the World
Caketon.
Cup, they're
It's the Caketon.
they're calling it
Caketon.
Wellington
Call
Stadium.
it the Caketon, and we all know
They're
what it
calling
is.
Amy Park in Melbourne Rectangular Stadium.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne, or the Poms win the 5th Ashes Test starting tonight?
I give them a good shot.
I give the Poms a hell of a
I'd
chance.
say they win there.
Yeah?
Yes, I'd say the Poms have more of a chance to win the...
Okay, all right. What is more chance of happening than the Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne? Or the Saudi Arabians offer a female athlete the sort of money they're splashing at the men's
Come on,
golfers and the
first,
men's
no,
footballers,
the
or they
first.
actually offer a
I'm
female athlete a
sorry.
contract at any...
You know what? It would be wonderful. It actually would be great if the Saudi Arabians courted someone like Megan Rapinoe or Alex Morgan or one of these big women's football
Never gonna
superstars.
happen, mate.
I'm sorry, it won't happen.
Never going to happen. What is more chance, though, of happening? The Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne, or the Ferns beat Switzerland on Sunday. Beat them, I'm saying. Beat them.
Give the Wallabies more of a chance against us. Okay. How many goals have in order to win, you got to score goals.
Okay, so we've scored 1 goal, 2 goals. We've scored 3 goals this year, and that was 2 against Vietnam, 1 against Norway. In all the games, we played about 10 or 12 games, something like that.
Yeah, and how many games in the last 12 months have we won?
1.
Well, 2 if you count the Vietnam.
If you count the
warm-up.
Vietnam, okay. Yeah, sorry.
But 2 out of 20.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all well and fine saying, the occasion, the girls might get up. Switzerland haven't looked great. We have to put the ball in the back of the net and actually win the game.
That is the
and
biggest
Switzerland haven't conceded a goal yet.
Okay, right. Couple more to go. What is more chance of happening, Lachlan, that the Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne, or Sky TV admit they got it wrong not taking Justin Marshall to the World Cup?
The first of those is more likely to happen.
Clearly, isn't it?
Yes.
What a bunch of fools you are, Sky Sport. You really
but they
are.
always have.
You don't care, though. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I say it as a customer. I've only been a customer for 30 years. If I could, I would ditch you. I would ditch you like toilet paper that has been used to wipe my behind.
It's such a toxic relationship they have with their customers, isn't it?
They've hated their customers ever since they have been in existence.
Well, why
back,
would you
Spark
hate your
Sport, all
customers?
is bloody forgotten. It's not
If you're
forgiven
Sky
because Spark
TV,
Sport,
why would you
cocked
hate
it up. I'm even more wild at you, Spark Sport. You had the chance to break this monopoly open.
Well,
to provide us sports fans with what we wanted.
To their credit, they weren't doing so bad. They had the cricket rights, they had the Premier League
about $50
rights.
million a year, mate.
I know, because they were paying so much for it and they were paying their
That's
staff
right.
so much.
Exactly.
They needed to get these World Cup rights.
Finally, then, what is more chance of happening? The Wallabies beat the All Blacks in Melbourne, or covering up the NRL logo on their shirts this weekend by all the NRL players will force the fish heads to settle this goddamn dispute.
Well, I can see the ongoing argument between the Rugby League Players Association and the NRL being resolved very soon, but not with the NRL caving and bending their knees.
No, that's exactly
I think
right.
it'll happen the other way around, that the Rugby League Players Association sit there and go, oh.
You're up against Peter V'landys. He's not a guy
I actually think
that
that's more
loses
likely.
very
I think that's
often.
more, for that to be settled within the next week, I think that's more likely.
The run on 15 remains the same for the All Blacks. Of course, there's been a couple of changes. Yes, Sam Cane injured, and so Dalton Papali'i comes in. Most of the changes, though, on the bench. Well, to explain all of that front row stuff that none of us really know nothing about, we pretend we know things, but we don't really know, the dark arts, the All Blacks scrum coach, Greg Feek. Greg, you're the scrum coach. I want to go straight to where you're good at, mate, and what you know about, which is the front row. Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, Tyrell Lomax. Can we read into this that is our number 1, 2, and 3?
Well, definitely for this week, once you've got that jersey, it's to keep it. But we want the other boys knocking on the door, and putting pressure on them so that when they get an opportunity, they can kind of claim it, I suppose. And that's what's exciting about this group, or for the last 12 months, has been, if you guys seen it, they're training, pushing each other and those sort of things. So, yeah, to answer your question, it's for this week, and then, get them on their toes, mate,
How pleased were you with those guys against South Africa?
Oh, I was probably nearly super happy.
Woo!
If that makes sense. And, yeah, nearly.
Tell you what, that's not a bad score. Nearly super happy. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you've got to give some credit to the boys for some of the things that we did. And then there's a couple of moments where we didn't get quite right, which I think at the time doesn't give you a good feeling. It's not our standard. But if we can learn and grow from that, then hopefully that'll serve us well. you know. And again, Springboks, it's such a good test to see where you're at.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Greg. Yeah, I mean, you know, are they, you know, you where do you consider them in terms of opponents, especially in the front row? Because, I mean, please, I'm asking questions here, and to be honest, none of us fans know anything about what happens in there. You do.
Yeah, well, the thing with the Springboks is, you know, it's about size, but I don't really. I mean, our boys are big too, so I don't look at size anymore as a factor. It's about the collective. It's about individuals getting their roles right, and but what the South Africans bring is a different style that they're probably not we don't get in Super Rugby anymore, you know. And so having that now and getting those little different tests of where we're at is gold. And the boys love it too. They love coming against something different ways of doing things. And they just got a slightly unorthodox, but it's very effective for how they've done it for a long time, you know. So
I tell you, I know this sounds weird, but I'd love to be sitting next to you during a game because I'd just like to look at you and see what you're looking at and what excites you about it. So let me put some words or thoughts into your mind. When you see a really stable platform and those boys are low to the ground, that scrum's not moving an inch, is that what you get your kicks from?
Well, that's the standard requirement, to be fair. I'd get my kicks from going forward and the referee sticking his arm out.
Go on.
You know, or, you know, like there's times where you actually do want to play off it because once you've established that, then we become a team that can pull the trigger either way, play off it quickly or do that. It's exciting because we've got a backline that can, as you saw, they can ignite pretty quickly, you know. So that's where we're at, yeah.
Even in today's modern rugby, how important is what that scrum does?
Oh, look, I think, now being biased, but I mean, if you saw, you know, what happened in the last World Cup, and sometimes, you know, so with South Africa, but for me, it's like every part of the game has got to have its ability to change the game where needed, you know, and whether it's a maul try, whether it's a massive defensive set, or if it's a scrum, either way. And if you've got all those areas of the game where you know you can turn the screw when you need to, and that's where we'd like to be at, is, you know, being able to have a forward pack or a scrum that can do that when required, when the captain says, hey, look, we need one here, then we can do it, you know. You're going to be overdoing it, but that's probably where we need to be.
So is that a real triumph in a test match when we get a penalty or we get in a position on the field where our guys go, right, we're going to call a scrum? That means that that is big, is it?
Well, they're saying, like, we can get the ball out. Well, they're saying we want to have a crack at them, you know, and there's different tactics around that. And that's up to the players and how they feel, what the feel is out there, what's happening on the scoreboard, time of the game, and even maybe the situation with the opposition, say they're a man down or whatever, you know. So there's a few things that you sort of calculate to make a decision on it. But the beauty about when you get given a penalty or you've got a little bit of time to discuss that as well, you know. Greg
Feek is with us, All Blacks assistant coach. How many of these do you put down in practice when you're preparing for a test match like this? Can I have a guess? I could say it'd be well over 2 or 3, or maybe I'm going to say well over 300 when you're training scrums to get ready for a test. Would it be more than that?
300? Oh, hell no. Probably, this in the whole week we've probably done 8.
Wow. Shite.
In a week,
really?
Yeah.
I thought you might do 50 at a training or something.
Yeah, no. They're gone to those days, mate. That's hell no.
All right.
Not with the amount of I mean, that's where you want to get quality. And when you do get that quality, you can get so much learning and no collapses, and the boys can feel the learning in it too, you know. So it's definitely and to get to that point of 8 really good ones throughout the whole week, then you need to have your right process. The individuals need to be. They need to be really on mentally as well, you know. So, but these are All Blacks, you know, they can do that. That's why they're professionals, and it's a privilege to be able to work with guys that can actually have the ability to put that together and get the quality, you know.
Greg, explain to us, please. So Offa comes back. Has Tamaiti done anything wrong, or is he injured, or what?
No, he's done nothing wrong, and I thought he did a good job for his first test. Mount Smart, he gets a scrum penalty, first scrum. I was really impressed with his focus and his ability to, played tight head a lot in the Super Rugby. Near the end there, then switched over back to loose head. For a young kid, it's pretty impressive. Like I said, some of the boys that come in, they can just, the fact they can just plug in and get on with it and adapt to the international scene just shows also their development has been on the right path too. And with Offa, he's a lot of experience. He didn't do anything wrong with RG, and that was, for this week, was the right fit.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
We'll do it, mate. Let us talk about that, the final Ashes test, and does it matter, Lachlan? USA versus Holland, second half has started. How big an upset would this be? Justin Marshall, Super Sport. That's excellent news for anyone. I don't know how we get to watch it, but I'm wrapped for Marshy. Broncos, Roosters tonight. What a game. Call it now. I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you, keep asking you right till 4 o'clock. The Ferns going to make it through or not. We've got the All Blacks-Wallabies and also South Africa, Argentina. Let us start with that, because I've got a heap of questions to ask you about the All Blacks, but I'll save it till after we talk to one of the assistant coaches. Wallabies got more chance of beating us than Argentina have of South Africa, or the opposite way around?
I answered this earlier. I think the Wallabies have a better chance of beating us than Argentina do the Springboks. Then again, my predictions when it comes to things like this, including the NRL with my tipping comp, have been sorry lately. So,
are you happy with the All Blacks side that run on 15?
Well, yes, because I don't think you can really do too much to it. See, if it was my team, I would start Lester Whanganuku at centre. I'd probably go with Dallas McLeod at second 5. I'd have Damien McKenzie starting ahead of... I'd have Will Jordan at fullback. And I would probably have Luke Jacobson starting at number 8 and Artie at 7.
So...
I don't get my way.
Let's break down the bench then, okay, because I think that the first 15 is the first 15, and they've got to be rewarded for the fact that they played so well against South Africa, these guys. Obviously, no Sam Cane means Dalton Papali'i comes in. I would have been happy if Sam Watlock had started, but obviously they've decided, hey, he hasn't been playing, probably short of an actual match-fit Gallup, and Scott Barrett played so well. All happy with that. As far as the bench goes, I honestly believe that Roygaard and Christie are much of a muchness. The gap between Aaron Smith and who comes next is so big. And we saw that against South Africa. No one could pass like that guy. I'm not convinced about Anton Leonard-Brown coming into the midfield. I would fear the fact if he starts in a major knockout match for us at the World Cup. I don't believe that the combination is there with anyone because he hasn't been playing for a start. And I also think it's pretty harsh on Eno, the fact that he hasn't done anything wrong and hasn't really had a... But they need to give Anton Leonard-Brown game time. He's a squad member. I do understand that. As far as the props go, well, come back Fletch, and I don't know what Tamaiti did wrong. So,
yeah, that was a strange one. Tamaiti Williams, I don't think he did anything wrong, similarly to Braden Eno. Then again, I mean, if you're going to say that, I don't think he did anything wrong to lose that spot. If the All Blacks coaches went by that logic, then we'd have a very rotated team pretty much playing every game. So... Yeah. I don't think you can really do much more to it. You had a brilliant performance against the Springboks in the first half, and we didn't get to a point in that game where we totally lost control and they nearly won it. We were steady for the rest of the game after that first sort of half hour. So I don't think you need to make too many changes.
49 minutes gone. USA 0, Netherlands 1.
Nederland.
How big a shock would this be?
Well, this is a repeat of the 2019 final.
Yes.
So the Netherlands aren't scrubs.
Well, why are they in the same group?
They're ranked.
Why are they...
Well, I don't know. This is like the Rugby World Cup.
Explain to me. So you get these two teams in one group.
Spain and Netherlands were in the same group at the 2014 World Cup.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Well, though I look at our group, I look at where the football ferns are, and all the teams are ranked. Well, Norway would, but the rest are all ranked 20 to 50 or something like that. I don't know how they do the draw. But is this a major upset? If it's
an upset. I don't know if it's very, very major. The Netherlands are ranked 9th in the world. They're a good side. And they're playing well. They're actually playing really well. It's a fair bit of ferocity, if I may say, in the way they're playing. I'm not the biggest expert of women's football, so I can't sit here and say that, but it'd be an upset. The one thing I'd say about the USA, everyone is talking about them being the favourites. The bulk of their star talent is very old or has been around for a long time. And someone can pull me up and tell me I'm totally wrong, because as I say, I'm not an expert on women's football, but there's a hint of All Blacks 2019 where a lot of our best players are towards the end of their careers.
I agree, I think
so while the
USA,
USA,
comparison.
Yeah, while the USA are a very good side, they're not as good as what they once were, I don't think.
Does this final Ashes test matter?
Yes and no.
I think it does. Hell yes.
Well, it matters because it's an England-Australia Ashes cricket test match.
Yeah, but look, I think it matters because for all of us who are ABA when it comes to cricket, anyone but Australia, and that is just because they have beaten up on us here in New Zealand since I was old enough to even recognise what a cricket bat was. The fact that they cowered at, and I don't mean coward as an ARD, coward as an ERED, at Old Trafford and prayed for the weather that we've got in Auckland at the moment, right? That they prayed for rain to get them out of there. That does not happen. The greatest thing about Australian cricket is when they lose or when they're on the back foot, and you've got to kick the living snot out of them because they're going to get up and bounce back real quick. It wasn't the foot on the throat, but it was kind of like a sock near the shirt, wasn't it? So I'm just hoping not hell that they lose this one, because I actually just think it's going to leave a sour taste, and I like that. With the Australians, I mean. And
it'll leave a sour taste for a few weeks, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't sit there and beat their chest and crow and go, "Oh, Mom, we took care of baseball."
They've won the series.
Well, there is that aspect.
You could say the same thing. You can make the same argument about the 2011 World Cup. I mean, we only won by 1 point. We were average, but at the end of the day, we won the World Cup.
Paul from the Waikato was texted in. He said, "Martin, I didn't say that the football ferns would lose against the Swiss. I said they wouldn't win the tournament."
I don't think anyone's saying we're winning the tournament.
Bet a bottle of wine on it, mate. I'll bet your house on it that we won't win the tournament.
I don't think anyone has said.
No one's seriously considering that.
Even the most cheerleader type people in the media have even entertained the fact that we could win this tournament.
I'm sure that there was an editorial meeting at some stage at Stuff where they said, "Come on, Andrew Vorman, write an article about how we're going to win it."
There would be some so-called content director who doesn't know a thing about football who would have said, "So, do the Ferns have a chance?" And then, no, the Andy Vormans and Philip Rollers of this world would have said, "Okay. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Stop it right there.
Exactly. Come on. Get a brain. The football ferns are lacking in the final third, says this one. Ditch the 4-3-3, go 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. I think that Millie Clegg has got to play a role against the Swiss. We need something up front, and I'd leave India Page Riley there. I wouldn't take her off this time. Leave her there.
Do we have two strikers to be able to play a 4-4-2? Probably not.
No.
And then so if you play a 4-2-3-1, your single player up top.
Well, it can't be
maybe Millie Clegg. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you're going to use Wilco, she's a bit of a donk, and that's what I'd use her.
She's a donk.
I'd use her as that. That's what I'd use her as.
Yeah, but you can't have her as your sole attacker.
No, I don't believe
so
you can.
So then if you have your right and left midfielders pushing up, you become a 4-3-3 again.
And Martin, if the rugby is free to air in South Africa, only from France, get a VPN set to South Africa. Will sort you. Oh, here we go. They're bloody coming here. What the hell are you talking about? He said, get your VPN and connect it through the HDMI cable. For God's sake,
Martin
mate.
doesn't know what either of those things are.
Asking me to do what? Splice DNA here. Final topic then. Justin Marshall. This is great. I mean, Marshy joins us every Monday. The thing I really like about Justin, and when Justin first started in, doing his Sky Sport commentaries and that, he was a bit unrefined, and I think that the natural exuberance as a fan came through and all of that. But he's really developed as a commentator, and I think that, whether you personally like his style or not, what he says really cuts through to me. As a viewer, as a rugby fan sitting on a couch watching a game, he's not patronising. I always used to think with Sumo Stevenson, and no disrespect to the man, but I thought that his style was that it was kind of like he's always trying to tell you something that he knew and that you didn't know, kind of thing. That kind of I've got more knowledge than you. I think with Justin, what I like about Justin is the same as what I loved about Christian Cullen as a commentator. And that's simply that they talk to you like you're on the couch next to them. They tell you what's going on. They expand on it, and they explain it in the best possible terms. Plus, there's the natural enthusiasm. I think he's really good. I think he's probably the best that Sky have in that role out of all of their sports.
I agree as well. He's got the... excuse me, sorry, I'm just trying to avoid coughing. He's got the knowledge to be, I guess, that person who, as we like, says it how it is, tell it how it is, has the experience as a player to know what he's talking about, and he's gotten to the point where he's refined his voice enough that he's almost the package in many ways. One thing I've always loved about Justin Marshall, he's so unbiased. He'll happily, the All Blacks will be playing, and you get this issue, particularly with Australian commentators, or at least the older ones, that, the Phil Kearns of the world and whatnot, is that he would happily watch an All Blacks game and have a go at the All Blacks, or we'll give massive credit to the other team if they're playing well.
Remember when we had him on last year and after we lost the Irish series, and he was so adamant, he said, these things are bloody important. You guys are writing the wrong history. You know, we fought in this All Black jersey for 100 years to beat these teams, and you're losing it. That's why he got into that altercation with Akira Ioane in the street. Because he's saying it's not good enough. More power to you, Justin. Congratulations. And Ian says, Martin, I'm a 53-year-old non-tech savvy idiot. If I can do it, you can get the VP. Okay,
Ian, for context, there's a TV screen in Martin's studio with cameras to the other offices, the other platform offices. Okay, that sounds a bit dodgy with that explanation.
Well, that sounds really dodgy, doesn't it? I mean,
anyway, so
what are you doing down there, dear leader?
The screen had switched off one day. Martin thought that the studio had broken, so he switched off everything at the wall. It switched off our entire Auckland studio.
All right,
It took ages to set it back up.
Don't tell tales, mate. But that is actually the truth.
Devlin.
Words matter.
Messi mania, people. It's just insane. It's just ridiculous. The amount of coverage that Leo Messi is getting debuting for Inter Miami in the United States, extraordinary. The numbers through the roof. 1 million followers on Instagram for Inter Miami until he started, now 12 million. The guy is a money-making machine. Everything he touches seems to be goals. Michelle Kaufman, Miami Herald. His first press conference, 500 applications from the media, whittled down to 200, and that was only for 15 minutes. So I thought, wow, this is for soccer in the United States. And then watching SportsCenter last night, and amidst everything else that's going on, the Women's World Cup, there's Women's NBA, the baseball season is ripe at the moment. You've got major contracts happening for NBA players. You've got the NFL only 40 or 50 days away. And those it was led by Messi scoring a brace against Atlanta. And this isn't actually an MLS game. This is just a cup game as well. So just when I saw that, I thought, wow, I can't wait to talk to you again about this. So run us some of those stats.
Yeah, well, it's been unbelievable. I mean, let me see. I'll tell you a couple of things. Well, I can tell you for sure that the Apple doesn't release their numbers, so we haven't been able to know, exactly what kind of numbers they've had. But I have heard that the MLS Season Pass, which is the streaming app that you need to get from Apple TV in order to watch the MLS games, what's been reported by a good source, Sports Business Journal, is that they've had 300,000 subscriptions, since Messi made his announcement, which is just crazy. It was also, the debut game was the most watched Spanish language coverage of any game in MLS history. So there's never been a game in MLS history on the Spanish network Univision, with the kind of viewership that it got, his first game. And then as far as social, the free kick goal that he scored that, went around the world, went viral everywhere. It's the most ever for MLS for a single post. The Major League Soccer League, across their networks of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, 140 million fans, 140 million views, and 6 million engagements. So, I mean, those numbers are just staggering. That 140 million people clicked on a clip of a Major League Soccer goal. I mean, this just does not happen. Major League Soccer is, growing in the United States, but it is not anywhere near one of the top sport. It's not one of the top sports leagues in this country, with the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, college sports, hockey. MLS is there, and it's growing, and it's doing well, and it's doing better and better. But the fact that they could get 140 million people to watch that goal on the league's website, on the league's Twitter account and Instagram account, and 6 million engagements, 6 million people engaged and made some kind of comment or a little like, a little thumbs up, whatever. So, I mean, it's numbers that are staggering, and the exposure that Major League Soccer as a league is getting around the world. That was the goal. The goal of bringing Messi here, which is why Apple and Adidas got involved and have given him very lucrative sponsorship packages, in addition to the $150 million package that he's getting from the team itself, is that what better way to spread this league, the tentacles of this league around the world, than to have Messi playing in it every single week, wearing an Inter Miami jersey. Those shirts they're predicted to be, the top selling shirt of all time, which would not surprise me. You can't even get one at this point if you order one, the official jersey of Inter Miami number 10 Messi jersey. The earliest you can get it is November. There's no way to get them until November. And he gets a cut of every one of those shirts. He gets a cut of every Apple subscription, MLS subscription that comes through since his signing. So it's a huge business deal. It's an amazing coup, really, for Inter Miami and for Major League Soccer, that a league that most people don't even know how it works. I mean, I've gotten emails from people around the world asking me, because they're in last place, asking what happens if they get relegated. They don't even know that we don't have promotion relegation here.
Right, exactly.
But most people don't even know anything about this league or how it works or the rules or anything about how many games are in a season, who are these other players that are playing on his team and all these other teams. I mean, it's brand new to most of the world, but people are tuning in. And that was the idea, that if you get Messi, people around the world will tune in. And if they tune in, maybe they'll buy a shirt, and maybe they'll decide that they like the product, or they'll start to follow a team, or they'll follow Inter Miami, which now has 12 million followers on Instagram, when it started with 1 million. 1 million was already high, and that was because David Beckham is a co-owner there, so he already had a big following with 1 million, but it's gone up to 12 million since Messi joined the team. So it's just been, it's transformational, it's staggering, it's every adjective that you could think of, mind-boggling, mind-blowing. I still can't believe it. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.